Great. So welcome everybody to In Conversation with, and tonight or today, depending on where you are in the world, we have Professor Dr. Hans-Michael Wolffgang, and Michael's going to be talking about the reform of the EU Customs Union. So I won't take up any of your time, Michael. I'll leave yourself to provide introductions to your subject, and thank you for taking the time to speak to us tonight. Over to you, Michael. Thank you.
Thank you very much, David, and welcome to all participants of our conversation, of our webinar, of our meeting this morning or this afternoon, this evening, in a digital format. Thanks for attendance, and I would like to speak about the customs reform, the reform of the customs union, which is planned for the next years. And I have prepared a slide, and the presentation will be recorded, so afterwards you are able to follow the presentation as well. And I have posted in the chat some links to the documents regarding the customs reform, and one link to an article which will be published soon in the World Customs Journal by a collaborator from me and myself. So I will try to share my screen. So that you can see, hopefully, the presentation. The reform of the Union Customs Union is one of the major projects of the current Commission, and based on several initiatives by politicians and business and administration within the European Union. And please let me give a short overview, a table of contents. I would like to elaborate a little bit about the initiatives to reform the customs union. Then I would like to give an overview of the reform package, and then I have chosen some aspects of the reform package. What I think is the most important currently, it's a new customs law. We have a new legislative act, and there will be a customs data hub, which is new. There will be a customs authority of the European Union, which is new. The idea is of a new partnership between customs and business, and there is a regulation regarding e-commerce, and at the end I will show you the schedule of the reform. First of all, the initiatives. There are several preparatory initiatives in the last years. We have the current UCC in place since 2016, so insofar it's not so long ago, and it's not really in force in all aspects. Nevertheless, the political idea is to have a new reform already in place or starting, because there are several lax gaps in the system currently, which shall be closed. So there was a customs action plan by the Commission in 2020. It was a foresight study, the future of customs in the European Union 2040. I don't want to go into details of these initiatives. I want to show you later on the similarities of all these initiatives. There was a Vice President's Group report. There was the evaluation of the implementation by the Commission. There was a study of the European Parliament, and several special reports of the European Court of Auditors. So you can see many stakeholders were involved in the idea of changing the current customs union and the customs law. And the similarities of all these initiatives are maybe 3 or 4 aspects. The first of all was the aspect of finances and security. The idea was or is to strengthen the fight against fraud, which is existing, especially in the area of e-commerce, to harmonize the sanctions within the European Union. And this is a revolution, so to speak, to establish a customs authority of the European Union. So it's not one administration, but it's a single point of contact, or it's a special body, a special authority. I will elaborate on this later on. So this is the finances and security aspect, and then we have the economy and society aspects. The idea of all the initiatives is we have to prevent illegal imports because of safety for the society, of interest of the economy. And from another point of view, the idea is we have to promote green policy, environmental standards, social standards, which we have in the European Union shall be protected and enforced. And we are facing the situation that the cooperation between member states and Commission has difficulties or is lacking really a good success. Then we have not enough cooperation between customs and national authorities as well. And the problem is also the cooperation between customs and business. And that shall be changed via this new customs law and this customs union reform. How? That's the question. The reform package contains different instruments, but the goal of the reforms, I would say, are four. One goal is to reduce administrative burden and to achieve simpler procedures. The second one is the creation of a truly single external EU border for import and export of goods. The third one is stronger controls over import and export supply chains. And the fourth is to find or to achieve special customs rules for e-commerce. So these are, from my point of view, the four main aspects, the four main goals of the reform based on all the initiatives and the similarities of the initiative which I have shown already. And now we will change to the law. It's a political or policy aspect which we have, but we have also legal aspects. And so we have now as a proposal 3 new acts existing. It's first one is I call it modernized Union Customs Code. I don't know how it will be named at the end. It's my wording, modernized Union Customs Code. And we have regulations regarding import, VAT, and regarding e-commerce. And we have the drafts of all these legal acts already published, or the European Commission has published the proposals. In the chat, I have posted the link to a link to all these legal acts and to all these proposals on the website of the European Commission, so you can then download it if you like. So it's a proposal for a regulation of the European Parliament. So this is the basic law, so to speak, of the Union Customs Code. So there shall be a new Union Customs, a new UCC. I call it modernized UCC. And there shall be installed a European Union Customs Authority, which I will elaborate later. Then the second proposal is for a council regulation with regulations regarding simplified tariff treatment for the distance sale of goods for the e-commerce and for the elimination of the customs duty relief threshold of 150 euros, which we have currently. So this is the second regulation which is proposed. And then there is a proposal for a council directive amending a directive. So this is different to regulation. It's now a directive. And that is dealing with VAT rules, especially regarding the distance sales of imported goods, the e-commerce aspect. And I will go into details later on in my presentation. Here are the links to the proposal and the legislative drafts, which I have already and have also posted in the chat. And I would like to draw your attention to an article which will be published soon in the World Customs Journal about the customs reform. So first of all, let me have and show you an overlook about the structure of the new UCC, the modernized UCC. And I want to show you that it's not everything new. For those of you who have knowledge about the current UCC, they will see that there is a lot of old in the new, in the drafts. And that's okay, I think. It's not necessary to reinvent the wheel, because the current existing UCC has a lot of good regulations and a lot of good procedures and so on, which are running well. But the now existing wish of the politicians and of other stakeholders is that there has to be some change in the current law and to add some aspects which I will show you later on. So we have in the new MUCC, we have 15 titles and more than 200 articles. And I will go only through the titles with you very shortly to show you what is existing already and what is new. So the general provisions with the customs territory, and so that's existing. What is new now is in Title II, there are some obligation and rights of persons with regard to customs legislation. The cooperation between business and customs shall become more effective and for both sides more effective. And that will be done with a new AO system. I call it AO Plus. I will go into details later on. And then we have the Title III with the EU Customs Data Hub, which is completely new. And therefore I've underlined it. And then we have other titles and articles which are slightly changed, yes, but there's no really general change. This is regarding customs supervision, customs controls, risk management. Of course, this is a big topic and this is advancing, but this has to be seen together with the customs data hub. And then we have the placing goods under a customs procedure, which we have today as well. Goods brought into the customs territory, goods taken out of the customs territory. These regulations are existing today as well, more or less. We have regulations regarding the provisions, regarding the special procedures, warehouse, inward processing, and so on, which is existing today as well. We have rules regarding tariff classification, regarding routes of origin, the value of goods, which is existing more or less, and which is embedded in an international system. So there is no real change on the European Union level. And then regarding the customs debt, occurrence of customs debt and guarantees is today, and it will be the same more or less in the future. There's in Title 11 some new aspects regarding restrictive measures and especially a crisis management mechanism, which is now a new mechanism for crises like a pandemic or wars or something like that. And then Title 12 is really new, the European Union Customs Authority. That's one of the topics later on. Then in Title 13, the Customs Cooperation, which I mentioned is one of the lacking things in the Union, they will try to solve this problem. And with the new draft, I will not elaborate too much on this. And there will be some common provisions on customs infringements and on non-criminal sanctions, which is missing today within the Union, which is a proposal in the draft. But I will not elaborate on this later on so much. So that's more or less the overall structure of the MUCC. And you see there is a lot of old things in it, which is okay because it's working. And we have some new ideas. And I think the most interesting thing is that we talk about the new aspects and the regulations, the provisions which will come maybe into force regarding customs data hub, customs authority, and so on. And then we'll now go into details of these aspects. So I've selected some topics of the reform package. I start with the customs data hub. And this is a graphic from the European Union. And you see in the middle, the idea is a data hub to collect all data which are relevant regarding the import and export of goods. It's customs, and insofar we are dealing with goods, and but nevertheless, when you have information about goods, you have also information about people transporting the goods, buying the goods, selling the goods, and so on. So it's not only the information regarding the goods, it's also some information about people and companies and so on. And the idea is that from now 27 member states, as you can see, the data will go to the customs data hub, or up to the customs data hub in the level, at the level of the Union, which we don't have currently in the Union. We have 27 different data hubs or databases. And then not only the customs the member states and the customs administrations of the member states have to be bound to the data hub at the European Union level, but also other authorities, may it be market surveillance authorities in the member states, or may it be law enforcement authorities in the member states. They are in this system of the data hub of the Union as well, and they deliver, or they supply with their data, the data hub, and they receive also data from the data hub. And then in the above, you can see there are some traders, the private sector, so to speak, are there as well, and they have to fill the data hub as well with their data. But as you can see, it's only one way. They have to fill, they don't receive data. But that is a thing which could be discussed in the current process, in the discussions of the next maybe months or years, how much the traders have the right and the option to receive some information from the data hub for the supply chain as well, because they are delivering the data and maybe they should receive data as well. So this is the overall view, and some more elaborations about the customs data hub. It shall be a single data interface for both administration and business, and it shall provide more supply chain transparency. That's one of the aims as well. And all information on customs operations shall be reported to the data hub from all the stakeholders you have seen. And also third parties from the private sector must enter information into the data hub, may it be ship owner, may it be a forwarder, or everybody who is engaged in the supply chain shall enter information into the data hub. And the data hub will be developed by the European Commission, but it will be done and delegated to the EU Customs Authority. And the question is still, you have seen we have still 27 member states, we have still 27 customs IT systems in the European Union. What is with the IT systems of the member states in the future? They have spent a lot of money for these IT systems to develop these IT systems. But the goal, I think the clear goal, the expressed goal from the Commission is that they want to create a single European-wide IT system. So no member states IT systems anymore. At the end, you will see the discussions between the member states and the European Union within the next months. So, and the idea of this data hub and the advantage, I think, what is mentioned, is thought about, is that there is a better risk analysis possible. And there will be a data exchange between customs authorities then. There will be the chance for a single window and the exchange of information with other authorities, especially authorities regarding the prohibitions and restrictions, which is now in the draft expressed as one of the tasks of the European customs as well. So it's not only the finance sector, it's also prohibitions, restrictions to, for example, for the safety of people or society. And the exchange, the data exchange, shall be with law enforcement authorities as well, so that there is a better knowledge about what is going on and maybe what can be then sanctioned or something like that. From my perspective, a little bit, when we speak about this customs data hub and the risk analysis which is possible with all these data and the risk management which will be possible, and then taking into account the development of the artificial intelligence, then the idea is, I think, the European Union wants to know today who will smuggle tomorrow, and then hinder the smuggle tomorrow. That's maybe the idea behind that. The European Union wants transparent supply chains, and they want transparent economic operators. That's the idea of this central data interface to protect society, business, and so on, what I have mentioned before. So, and the body for this is the customs authority. There can be a customs data hub, but it has to be operated. It has to be developed by somebody and it has to be operated by somebody. And the idea is that we will have one customs authority European-wide. This idea is not very new because for more than, I would say, 15 years or 20 years almost, in different conferences, in publications and so on, and discussions, the idea of a customs authority came up and was discussed by many people already, but it was never possible because I think member states were reluctant to agree on such a customs authority, because the member states in the European Union, they are administering the customs law of the Union, and they, of course, have their national sovereignty and do not want to delegate or give up these very good authority, sovereignty. So let's see what the customs authority now is. What's the idea? What is the idea with it? What is the structure of this new EU body? It will be a body with a legal personality. It's not part of the Commission. It's its own administration agency, which is possible according to the European Union law. And it will be based in one of the member states, with what is not clear currently, in what member state it will be. And what is the core mission? The core mission of the new customs authority is that they shall contribute to achieving the mission of the customs authorities in the member states. And they shall contribute to the operational management of the customs union. They shall coordinate and supervise operational cooperation, and they shall provide technical expertise to the member states. They shall develop, operate the IT infrastructure, and they shall harmonize the application and enforcement of customs legislation. That's the core mission, and they have already also tasks, some core tasks on the basis of this core mission. And what are their core tasks? For example, it's that they shall diagnose and monitor border crossings and other checkpoints. How efficient is a border crossing, for example, to protect against smuggle? Or they shall develop best practice recommendations for customs administrations, for the 27 customs administrations. They shall prepare operational manuals for the practical application of customs procedures. And they shall carry out performance measurement of the customs union and training of customs officers. It's not done by the authority, but the authority shall develop standards, minimum training content, for example, for customs officers. And interesting for the academic world, they shall promote a recognition system for education and training programs, which is already existing in the European Union on the WCO level. Many of you know the PICA standards. It's like a customs competency framework as well at the international level, and that was already is already existing since 2008 or 9. But in the Union, as a development, further development of the professional standards within the last 10 years, there was developed a customs competency framework for both for the private and the public sector. And for the private sector, this is especially for academic programs like the PICA program with recognition processes going on. And the EU Customs Authority shall promote this recognition system for the academic sector. It may be as well for the professional sector. So then there is also some idea of coordination and cooperation between customs authorities and other authorities. The idea of joint controls of different member states' administrations, or maybe involving people from the authority as well, like we have today with Olaf, for example, this anti-fraud unit. And then the authority shall assist the Commission in resolving complex classification, valuation, and origin issues. I think this is going into the direction of binding classification information, binding valuation information, binding origin information, that there is a real European Union level for these binding informations. So in the one at the end point of my elaboration about this customs authority, I want to show one point. I want to this is a point, I think, which we have to think about. What is there a hierarchy between the authority, between the customs authority of the Union and the member state? And according to the European Union Treaty, it is not possible to have a hierarchy between this agency and the member state. But the agency can try to manage more harmonization of the legal acts. They can try to recommend, they can recommend some guidance documents. They can recommend some maybe concrete measures or something like that. And that's laid down. They can recommend, but they cannot force the member states. But in this point, there is a little bit force because the member states have, in case they do not carry out a control recommendation, they must provide the EU Customs Authority with a justification. That's the softest way, maybe, of force and hierarchy, but it is something new in the union of the customs union, or in the European Union. We will see what the outcome of this new administrative recommendation will be. So this was the customs authority, and we have to see this together with the customs data hub and the enforcement of the customs law within the European Union. And now it's not only for the customs, it's also something new in it for the business. And the idea of the European Union is now to create a new partnership between customs and business. How shall that work? The idea is, I would say, or my wording is, my idea is to say AO plus traders. The original wording in the UCC, in the modernized UCC, is that shall be a trust and check trader. They want, the European Union wants trust and check traders, or trusted and checked traders. TCT maybe as an abbreviation. And what is it? What is this new business cooperation between the administration and the economy? First of all, the current existing AO is still possible. And in the next years, the plan is that the so-called TCT status, or the status as AO plus, shall be an additional option. And that is meant for a transitional phase up to 2037. So for round about the next 14 years, the idea is that there can be AO on the one side and there can be TCT on the other side as well. So the AO standard and the AO plus. That's the idea. So it's not a revolution, it's a slow process which is planned. And the idea is of the TCT that it shall be more trusted and more checked. That the business shall be more trusted and more checked. And how shall that work? And I want to show you the conditions for granting the TCT status. And when you compare with the AO, you will see there's a lot similarity. So according to the new Article 25, the applicant company must be resident or registered in the customs territory. So it has to be union applicant. It's today with the AO the same. The applicant must have regularly carried out customs transactions in the course of its business for at least 3 years. So that's more or less the same. The applicant must allow customs authorities access to the relevant data for the last 3 years in order to assess compliance with the authorization criteria. The applicant may not have done any serious or repeated infringements of customs and tax regulations. The applicant shall demonstrate that it exercises a high level of control over its activities and flow of goods. That's more or less the same of the conditions for the AO today. The applicant has to provide financial solvency. The applicant has to have practical competence standards or to show that there is professional qualification. And there is a need for the appropriate security, safety, and compliance standards. So this is what the current AO is asking for as well. But that's not all. Now, for the TCT, for the AO Plus, there's one more condition. And that is the applicant must provide an electronic system that provides or makes available to customs authorities all data on the movement of goods in real time. Real time. It's not the way anymore that the authorized economic operator lodges a declaration later on, and then maybe there is a control later on. The TCT operator is an operator which is in contact with the customs administration in time, all the time. And that means the customs authorities have the right and the option to read the customs records, to read the accounting system electronically, of course, and all the other records in the database of the company, of the TCT, in real time. And that's the idea together with the customs data hub, so that all data are in real time, existing in real time. And that the customs authorities, EU Customs Authority, has knowledge about all processes which are belonging to a transport, which are belonging to an import process, which are belonging to an export process in real time. And that's a new aspect of the draft. And that's the relevant aspect of the TCT. And that has to be seen, and the companies who want to become AO Plus, they have to accept this condition. And after the transitional period, after 2037, then the current AO will not be existing anymore. All simplifications for business will only be given for TCT traders, for AO Plus traders. So this is a big change within the next years. At least this is a plan. We will see what will be the outcome after the legislative discussions. But on the other side, the TCT shall have advantages as well. The AO plus. He has the right to declare in a simplified way the customs declarations. He has the right of a self-assessment. He has the right of the entry of all the documentation in the own records. He has the right of a payment at a periodic interval, for example. And this is one of the points I think which is really a new point is, and I have insofar I have quoted here the new Article 181, paragraph 4. The customs authorities may allow a TCT to calculate the customs debt corresponding to the total amount of import or export duty on all goods released by that economic operator on behalf of the customs authorities. On behalf of the customs, the company is, so to speak, working on behalf of the customs authority, and the company then calculates the customs debt, declares only the all the imports and exports maybe of 1 month, for example, especially imports regarding the customs debt. It's not necessary to lodge a single customs declaration anymore. It's not necessary to have an entry into the records just exactly at the moment. They can collect all the transactions of 1 month. That's the new idea. That's the self-assessment as it is laid down in the new customs code. You will see if this is an advantage which is big enough for the business to ask for this new status. On the one side, they have this advantage. On the other side, they have to open, so to speak, their records in real time. That's a point which will be discussed, I think, in the business community in the European Union in the next maybe months or years. So the more or less last point I wanted to share with you is the aspect of e-commerce. Everybody of us knows that the e-commerce is growing and growing, and that there is a lot of customs problems in relation to e-commerce. And the idea now is that the marketplaces like Amazon and eBay shall become importer, deemed importer, in case there is no real importer based in the European Union who is declaring or lodging a declaration. So for all these traders outside of the European Union who have no registered office in the European Union or have not in a company in the European Union and who are selling into the Union via such a platform, like such a marketplace, they for all these, the marketplace owner will be the deemed importer. And this importer then is responsible for all obligations, may it be the financial aspects, paying taxes, paying duties, paying customs duties, or on the other side, for all prohibitions and restrictions. So, for example, product piracy, that shall be hindered. The Amazon or eBay or what else marketplace has to investigate, has to control, has to assure that the trader based in a country outside of the European Union is in accordance with the union law. That's the challenge, I think, for all these traders. And this is, of course, in discussion. As you can imagine, of course, the marketplaces are not happy with this proposal. And we will see what the outcome of this proposal then will be. The competent customs authority for the intended importer or the deemed importer is the customs office responsible for the place where the customs declaration was lodged. So maybe it's lodged in Germany, then the competent authority for the whole union is the customs authority of Germany, as an example. And there is currently existing de minimis threshold of 150 euro for the levying of duties, and that shall be abolished. So a customs duty shall be paid from the very first euro and not with a threshold of 150 euros anymore. And that means also the idea is to make more money for the union. The question then is, or the problem then is, in case you have a small parcel item and you have to make a declaration for that, it's very difficult for the trader outside of the union or maybe for the marketplace. And for that purpose, the idea is that there shall be some baskets with simplified customs tariffs. For example, for toys, household goods, and so on, there is a basket with a 5% percentage of duties, or silkware, glassware, 8%, and so on. If this is really helpful for the importers, I don't know. And if that makes really sense, you will see if it is an advantage for the e-commerce to have those more or less 5 baskets which they can choose, and not to classify all the items which are imported into the union in detail anymore. So this is a short view about short information about the change or the plans for the electronic commerce in the European Union. And then what is the schedule? I have mentioned already the transitional period until 2037. And the idea of the union now is that today, in 2023, the proposal for the reform of the customs union has been published. And now there is a discussion going on between the Parliament, the Commission, the member states, especially business is involved. So this is now the time of discussion within the European Union about the proposal. And so far, we will see what will be at the end the outcome of the draft. Nevertheless, there will be a new customs code existing. I think the political consensus is given in the European Union. So there will be a new law within the next years. And then the idea is 2023 now, maybe in 2026 or so, the new customs code can be published in the official journal of the European Union, and then needs some time for delegated acts and implementing acts, so that maybe 28 there is the first possibility that something comes into force, that some of the plans come into force, and that shall be the customs authority that shall start activities at that time. The customs rule for the internet trade, for the e-commerce, shall come into force, and the EU Customs Data Hub shall be launched, at least for the e-commerce part. And then within the next years, up to 2032, the Trust and Check Trader program that has already started before in 28, but in 23, the Trust and Check Traders must use the Customs Data Hub. And other economic operators, like the normal AEOs, for example, may use the data platform on a voluntary basis. Independent, that the Customs Data Hub is already existing and is filled with information by all the official bodies, by the administrations and by the authorities, which I have shown to you before. But the traders, they have to deliver the data, to enter the information into the data hub, maybe beginning in 2032. And then 2038, so end of the year after 2037, the customs reform is completed and the use of the EU Customs Data Hub becomes mandatory for all economic operators as well. Independent, that the Customs Data Hub is existing before already and is used by the administration. So this is the timetable for the reform. And my last slide is, maybe we have time for some discussions later on as well about this. I have mentioned the goals of the reform at the beginning of my presentation. And my question is now, is the mission accomplished with this draft? The goals are to reduce administrative burden and to have simpler procedures. Reduce administrative burden and simpler procedures. I can't see them really in this case because we have more administrations. We have the data hub, we have the customs authority, one authority more. I can't see the simpler procedures. Then the next point is the creation of a truly single external EU border for import and export of goods. Yeah, that's given with the new data hub and the EU Customs Authority. And I'm in favor, I have to say, I'm in favor of this EU Customs Authority for years already. In 2008, I've written an article about EU Customs Authority and the possibility of such a authority already, and I'm really in favor, and so far I'm happy with this development. And I think with this authority and the possibility of guidance and so on, more harmonization is possible in the Union. And the third aspect, shall be stronger controls over import and export supply chains. Yes, I think this is possible with this data hub and the risk analysis and risk management systems, which will be available in the future. So there is really a stronger control given. And there shall be some special customs rules for e-commerce. I have shown you the ideas or the proposal regarding the e-commerce, especially I think the deemed importer, that's marketplaces shall become deemed importers, can be from the point of the Union helpful to have an effective system in place for collecting duties and maybe protecting consumers or other people against dangerous items imported into the Union. So more or less, I think the goals have been fulfilled. First, I'm not sure if this is really a reduction of administrative burden. I can tell you that in my practice for many years. Every time when administration and the legislation is speaking about reducing administrative burden, at the end, it was more administrative burden than before. So, insofar, a little bit cautious, but the other aspect, I think, the goals are achieved, insofar, mission accomplished. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for this the time and that I could give you this presentation. Here's my contact details in case you want to contact me afterwards, or now we have time, I think, for some discussions. So
thank you, Michael. I think we've got a little bit of time for discussion, and I might kick it off myself. You gave us a schedule in terms of when this is all likely to occur. Couple of questions. Do you really think it's realistic that the legislation would all be in place by 2028? And if it takes longer than anticipated, do you think there might be a move to amend the existing Union Customs Code and associated implementing act and delegated act to take account of some of these aspects, such as e-commerce?
Of course, it's very difficult to anticipate how long the discussions will last regarding the legislative acts. But what I feel is there is a strong power, because think about the Parliament is in favor, the Council is in favor of the Union, Commission is in favor. What I hear from the member states, there is no real negative aspect regarding this draft, because it's in favor, most of the aspects are in favor of the state. May it be the Union, may it be the member states. And maybe there are some people in the business or in the business community who are not happy with, let's say, the customs data hub, because of so many data on the given to the Commission or to the customs authorities. But I think there's a big chance that it will become reality until 2028. I don't think there's option B as amendments of the current law. But
okay. Thanks.
Difficult to predict, of course.
Of course. Thanks, Michael. I see, Wes, you have your hand up there.
Yes, thank you very much. First, I would like to express my thanks to you, Michael. It was excellent presentation. This wishful thinking, in my opinion, European Union bureaucrats' vision for the next 15, 20 years. It's my answer to the question of David. Do you believe in it? It should be possible to realize. I think that it is much more difficult that we are in European Union as customs union, not isolated island in the frame of all legislation. Just right now, we are before the problems of enlargement, transformation and changing the treaties and many others. It's only part of this set which is proposed also by European Parliament. But it's, in my opinion, it's okay. We have to have this kind of vision, which was proposed, as Michael said, almost 20 years ago by some of groups, and last time by Wise Men Group, for these changes in favor not only for the states, for the union, but also for business. but really it's some important changing. Let it be IL plus or trust and check traders. What is the reason between the trust and check traders and the requirements to receive this status and between IO for security? What about the treaty, this TCT status by international trade community and customs community? We have to take into account Bali Convention, which approved and decide that all the preferences should be only for IO with security reasons and so on. But once again, many thanks for your excellent, clear, and understandable presentation. It's something also for me to think about how we can contribute to change all this thinking and real changing in favor for customs and business in Europe. Thank you very much for your lesson.
Welcome, Wes.
Thanks, Wes. Michael, do you want to say anything in response, or should I go straight to Andrew?
No, you can go on.
Please, Andrew.
I mean, it really was a very useful and helpful presentation. Thank you, Michael. And I'm beginning to feel my age, which I shouldn't, but I feel like certainly after your presentation, we've been down this road before, and I'm just thinking back to 2003 with the modernized customs code, and the question whether we have arrived there yet in 2016, let alone 2023. And this might be the question whether the ambitions that the Commission has, whether they actually justify the upheaval, especially when considering that some of the benefits that you highlighted might already be available if the legislator might tinker with what's already in place. I'm just thinking of entering a declarant's own record as opposed to self-assessment that you outlined, or the technical opportunities to link data in other ways than via a hub. What was interesting, I guess, is that maybe the Commission is thinking about the institutional challenges of cooperating together better, especially with thinking of the challenges that might lie ahead in decades to come. What I felt was really interesting was the notion that data sharing might also be between government agencies, so G2G, whereas in the past focus often was on business to government via single windows and the like. But the skeptic in me would then think about this would require standards on how things like risk management might be communicated. And I think this is where the global customs community might still be in its infancy. We talk about risk management, but how we might share data in a structured way with colleagues and other agencies, or with non-customs agencies, I think there will be a lot of work to do. So it's really interesting, and thank you. And there's so much thought to take away. But the big question would be then whether the upheaval justifies the effort.
Thank you very much, Andrew. It's very important aspect, and especially when you are mentioning also that the European Union is maybe or has a chance with the current existing UCC already to achieve some of the advantages for the business, which will be then laid down in the new UCC. I agree with you, but I think the political idea behind this is not to go forward with the existing simplifications, to show business, oh, this is a new chance, this is a new advantage under the new law. And then on the other side, bring in all these maybe more control aspects regarding the customs data hub, the EU Customs Authority as well, because I think it's from a political point of view, it's a good idea to have these more data-based systems existing. But on the other side, you're right. It would be possible today already much more than it has been achieved so far. Yeah.
Thank you, Michael. I'm conscious of the time. I know we've run over, and I appreciate you staying with us for those additional few minutes to answer questions. If anybody does have any further questions, you can either contact Michael directly or through Mikhail, through the INCU. But I must say, Michael, it's quite an eye-opener, isn't it? Having all these changes, the IT hub, the EU Customs Authority, the changes to e-commerce, the changes to AEO, the changes to de minimis. It's quite impressive, the changes, and as you say, they all seem to work on behalf of the state. So in terms of making life easier for the trader, in terms of trade facilitation, I think we perhaps agree with you at this stage, but we'll watch and wait. So look, on behalf of everyone, Michael, thank you very much for your time today. It's been a really good lecture. Thoroughly enjoyed it, and I'm sure everybody would agree with me. So thank you on behalf of everybody. Thank you all for your attendance. I think the next event, Mikhail, is the annual general meeting of the INCU, and we'll be sending an email around about that very shortly. So thank you all for your time, and thank you once again, Michael. Excellent.
Thank you. Thank you to all of you for your attendance, and have a nice day. Good time ahead. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye bye.
Stay safe.
Bye-bye.
Bye, Professor.
Bye. Thank you very much.